Hi, welcome back to Rhema. Today's question is from a person investigating, we'll say. Not sure if they're Christian or not, but investigating. And they asked, investigating Rhema, I'm talking about investigating Rhema, the Institute, not Rhema Yoga, but the Institute, and the Sanctification Trail, the Four Paths, and all of that. By the way, the Rhema Institute offers the Four Paths, the Sanctification Trail, all that, and it also offers, with Rhema Yoga. The important thing to note is that, well, in America, yoga is stretching, exercise. In the real outside world, yoga is more than a physical endeavor. It's your body, your soul, and your spirit. And so what we're doing is all yoga. It's Christian yoga. But Christian yoga is not just stretching while you have worship music playing or while you think about a scripture. Christian yoga is actually engaging your soul, your spirit, and your body. So Rhema Yoga focuses a lot on the body, and Rhema Institute covers the spirit and the soul. Of course, they bleed over and they kind of intermesh, but the focus is different for the two. However, both of them are actually doing Rhema Yoga. It's all yoga. And when you take the yoga teacher training certification, if you take that, then you will learn more about that. So anyway, sorry, a little bit of a rabbit trail, but it's an interesting rabbit. So today, the question that was sent in by someone investigating was related to how in Rhema we often say that people are ignorant of their tribulation, or they're ignorant of their deceptions, ignorant of their demonic deceptions. And the question was, what keeps us ignorant? What blocks our awareness? What blocks out our enlightenment? And so the answer is many possible things. But there are a few that are the most common, and that's what I will talk about today. People don't see things when seeing them will be painful. When confronting them, or even acknowledging that they exist, will bring pain. More so, they especially don't see something when seeing that thing means that they would need to make a change because they saw that thing. And even more so, if making that change is painful. Some of you might know the Oedipus story, where he literally stabs out his eyes instead of confronting reality. Confronting reality is painful sometimes, and sometimes simply confronting it requires change, and sometimes painful change. So people will often choose ignorance. Finally, I think the hardest time to make a change is when it means giving up something that you find comfort and even strength from. Someone who was, for example, bullied when they were a kid might have found that if they got angry and pushed back or fought, people didn't bully them anymore. Over time, they might have developed a short temper, and they might have found strength in their anger. So years later, giving this up then would be terrifying to them. They would need to confront that little bullied, scared kid again. How scary is that? That's pretty scary. So what keeps us ignorant? What blocks our awareness and enlightenment? Fear is the single biggest reason that people remain stuck in ignorance. It's why they remain stuck in illusion. In this case, illusion is their own reality, not reality as God sees it. It is an illusion, a false reality that is informed by demonic deceptions and fleshly misconceptions. It is reality seen through a dirty lens. And people have believed lies about themselves and about the world and maybe about God over the years, over time. And so that has become their reality. And that reality has brought them tribulation. It surrounds them every day. Staying ignorant has its tribulations, and people dislike them. But many choose this over facing God's reality or making real, healthy, painful change to transition into God's reality. Making real, healthy, painful change is not preferred for many over staying ignorant. Staying ignorant, then, is an escape. It's an escape mechanism. It's an avoidance strategy. The soul dislikes change and pain, and it fears them. So, ignorance is chosen over enlightenment. Sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. More examples. When someone is in an unhealthy relationship, why do they stay there? Or why does it take them so long to leave? Because leaving means that they wasted their time, their emotional investment. Maybe even their money. They chose wrong. They see that they would have to admit that they were wrong about someone, about the relationship. And the longer they stay in the relationship, the harder it is to leave. Another example, when I was younger, I started a business in China. And my business partner, over time, slowly began to call himself my investor. That's what he started calling himself. He stopped doing work. He started to become mean. He stopped paying me a regular salary for over a year and a half. The more the business thrived, the more this continued and grew. It was not fun. And demonic deception is not always the reason for a reluctance to accept reality. As in the case of me and my business partner, it can be the soul man itself interacting with fallen people in a fallen world. And so my response with my fallen soul man in a fallen world was to work harder without getting paid. And the business grew more, expanded, bought an office in Shanghai. From our small office to Beijing, moved to a bigger office in Beijing. The business grew more. I could see that in this process, my partner investor was using me. And he was getting ready to try to push me out because he wanted to take all the reward. But it was hard for me to see that because that realization was too painful. I'd worked too hard. I'd sacrificed way too much for multiple years, when I never saw my parents. I never returned home. And I couldn't admit that I had been fooled. That someone was trying to play me for a fool. And eventually, when I finally took my cut and ran, it was painful because it was long overdue. And it hurt because I waited so long. And it could have been much, much worse. Much, much worse. It is only by seeing God's reality that we can make effective, healthy change. And many people flock to a pastor or a psychic or a shaman or some other sort of counselor who will tell them what they want to hear so they can stay in their current reality. Spiritualizing one's pain often helps make it more bearable. But the pain and tribulation continue nonetheless. And indeed, they grow. If you ignore mold, it will just keep growing. It's the same. The rot grows. Your only way to get better is to see God's reality and then make the changes needed. The three flames are integral to this process as they provide the help, the direction, and the healing as the painful change takes place. Often, the four paths are the mechanism that a lot of people entering Rhema use to spur this kind of growth. But it continues for a lifetime. So I hope that helps. I hope the answer is adequate to the question you asked. The answer is long, but the truth is that I could go on much longer. The first path in P1, the first path in Rhema, P1, it's all about this very topic. looking at the demonic deceptions and the foolish, fleshly misconceptions in our life, rooting them out, becoming clear. When people finish P1, they often say that they feel like they came out of a fog. That's often what I hear, and I think that's a really good description. The fog was the reality, the deception and misconceptions created for this person. It was how they lived their life. And now they have entered a new, clear kingdom reality. They notice that change. So I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna say that's all for today. I enjoyed the question. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you later.